Hey everybody over at Faith Gateway, my name's David Bowden, and I'm the author of the new book, When God Isn't There. It's a book all about God's absence and how we are supposed to understand it as Christians. I unpack a lot of different misconceptions about God's absence in the book, and I wanted to share one with you right now. So at some point in our lives, a lot of us have a moment when we feel far from God. And when we feel far from God, we think that God is so absent from us that he can't even touch us, like he can't even move us or affect us in any way. We think that we have to feel close to God in order for God to be working in us. But one of my favorite things that I get to do in the book is show how in the story of Jonah, we actually see the opposite of this happening. So you guys know the story of Jonah. Jonah, he hears God call him to go to Nineveh, and he ends up just running away from God instead of obeying him. And he gets on this boat, and they cast him overboard because of all the turbulent seas and everything, and he gets swallowed up by this giant fish. And in this giant fish, Jonah is sure that God is absent. I mean, he is in the belly of darkness. He is under the water. He is separated from God. He could not be farther from God's presence or thinking that God is absent. But what's interesting that's actually happening here is Jonah tried to run away from God. He tried to move far away from where God was calling him to go in Nineveh by getting on the boat. But whenever the whale or the fish swallowed him up, God was actually bringing Jonah back towards Nineveh where he could go where he was being called. So the interesting thing we see here is that in what Jonah perceived as God's absence, God was actually present with Jonah, moving him closer to himself. And so what we learn is that we don't necessarily always have to feel like God is right there. We don't have to pretend that, oh yeah, I see God and I feel God all the time. Like sometimes God feels far. Sometimes we're in the belly of darkness, what's been called the dark night of the soul. But the good news is that God is bigger than our darkness. Like God can move into our darkness and move us even when we feel like nothing else is moving. Even right now, as we're standing on this earth, I could stand completely still, but I'm still spinning around the galaxy at thousands of miles per hour. Like we're moving imperceptibly because of the hand of God, even when God's hand feels absent. So I just want to encourage you that if God feels absent to you right now, you can still trust that he's working in you and moving in you to guide you to where he wants to bring you. So I'm so thankful for a little bit of your time. I would invite you to pick up my new book, When God Isn't There, and wrestle with some of these things about God's absence and presence. I hope it's a big blessing to you.